Hey guys, it's Dan, your host of your Dan's Reviews, and today I'm back for another video for The Last of Us. This one's going to be doing a Q&A after the trailer and giving some expectations for The Last of Us TV show. Alright guys, this one's going to be doing a review today, this one's going to be doing a review for The Last of Us, this one's going to be doing a Q&A video after the trailer for The Last of Us Season 1 on HBO. I did get some comments from you guys, and I also wanted to kind of give a few more updated thoughts on the trailer, so figured we'd be doing the Last of Us video. Obviously we're going to be doing reviews for The Last of Us when the show starts up next year, but definitely wanted to do this video as well too. So, The Last of Us is looking really, really good right now. I'm very, very excited for this show. Obviously it's based off of, at least in my opinion, the best video game story ever made. So I'm very excited to see how they're going to handle this on a TV show. And obviously, Season 1, if you guys do not know, is going to get 9 episodes on HBO for its first season, which is pretty interesting. I've never seen HBO do a 9-episode first season, because I know with Game of Thrones and some of their other shows, they always do usually 10 episodes, but for this one, they're doing 9 episodes for their first season. Obviously, it must have meant that probably the plot demands it or something like that for them to do a slightly shorter season than normal, but either way, this trailer, obviously we did the reaction a couple days ago, and just to kind of give you guys an updated kind of thoughts on it, I think this show is going to be absolutely amazing. I mean, I cannot wait to see how this goes. I am very, very excited to see what they do, especially Pedro Pascal as Joel. I think fits like a glove. I've said this before, and I'm still going to say it again, though. I'm still not sure about the actress for Ellie. Okay, that's one thing I am going to say right off the bat. I'm actually curious to know where you guys stand on this one too. For some reason, I don't know what it is. The actress for Ellie is not selling me yet. Once we watch the show, maybe she will, but at least for right now, I don't know. Pedro Pascal, I think, is going to be a perfect Joel. In terms of the Ellie casting, I'm just not sure about it. I know the actress was in Game of Thrones, and she was, in that briefly for, a good while there. But I don't know, guys. I don't know what it is. It's not my number one choice for an Ellie actress, to be honest. I feel like there are a lot more different, actresses that you could have gotten that would have fit more of the role. So I don't know. That's my only kind of concern with this show so far. I feel like the Ellie actress just seems very off so far. But again, we'll have to see. Maybe she'll prove me wrong. Maybe she'll blow us out of the water. But at least as of right now, I'm very sold on Joel. But I'm not that much sold on the Ellie actress. That's my only kind of literally, that's my only complaint with any of this right now. Everything else looks amazing. The landscape looks incredible. The visuals look really fantastic. Everything looks really what I would want, right? And I think the show overall, budget-wise and everything like that, I think it's going to do very good. But I have to see with the Ellie actress right now. That's my one concern. So to get into a few Q&A comments for today, starting off with Epic Zombie Killer, who says, Dan, Q&A, do you think that The Last of Us TV show, because it has a better budget, do you think it's going to be better than The Walking Dead television series on AMC? So, obviously, anybody that's watching this video, if you're watching this video, you probably know me from my Walking Dead reviews. But at the same time, if you're also new to the channel and you've only seen some of these Last of Us videos, we do cover a show on this channel called The Walking Dead. In my opinion, it's the best zombie story ever told. Definitely The Last of Us, I would say, is up there, but The Walking Dead is easily my favorite. And in terms of The Walking Dead and in terms of The Last of Us, now, one thing I always like to kind of remind people when they ask a question like this, too, is because a budget and a good story are two different things, right? A budget and a story are two completely different things. A budget is money, right? Yeah, it's visually appealing if it's used correctly, but a budget is a budget, right? That's all it is. You can have literally the worst script in the world and the best budget in the world. You cram that together and people don't like it, And same thing with the opposite side of things, right? You can have an absolutely shitty budget, but the best story ever, and you could actually come out with something really good, and it's been proven time and time again. So I don't think budget really matters here. Yeah, it's a bonus, right? Visually, it's more appealing. Sure, the visual aspect of things is gonna be better because you have more money, therefore you can make it look better. But in terms of a budget versus a good story, those things don't really matter. So when I look at The Last of Us and I look at their high budget, I love it. I really do. But I'm also sitting there okay, but it's going to matter on how they adapt the story, not the budget. So in terms of having a better budget, and that means it's better than The Walking Dead, I would not agree with that, right? Because Game of Thrones, and I've said this time and time again, Game of Thrones has an amazing budget, but I will still take The Walking Dead over Game of Thrones any day, because The Walking Dead, and I can actually say this now too, it ended well. It had a great ending. Game of Thrones, it has a great budget. It had some really good seasons, but it also had a really bad final season, at least in my opinion. So, keep in mind too that you could have a great budget like Game of Thrones season 8. It had an incredible budget. But that season, writing wise, I'm sure like half the population at least could agree. The final season of Game of Thrones was not that great. At least in my eyes, and obviously I know in a lot of other people's perspective as well too, it wasn't the greatest final season. So a budget, really what I'm trying to say here is that a budget does not all that much matter. To a good story. Well, actually, it doesn't matter at all to a good story, right? But do I think it's going to be better than The Walking Dead? No, I don't think it's going to be better than The Walking Dead. Budget, yeah, it's going to be better. If we're talking about budget, it will be better. But in terms of a story, I think it's going to be really hard to beat The Walking Dead. And in terms of favoritism as well, too, favoritism, Walking Dead is definitely not going to be beaten, for sure. I don't think any TV show will ever beat The Walking Dead for me. It just has a special place in my heart that other TV shows don't have. It was a show that I grew up on since I was 9 years old. So, in terms of favoritism, Walking Dead will probably always end up being my favorite show and the most rewatched show on my end of things. But could The Last of Us objectively be better with a story? Yeah, I think it has a chance for sure. But you're going to have like the perfect actors, an amazing story, and I think overall, in terms of popularity, I could see The Last of Us being more popular than The Walking Dead. But here's the problem with that: is that will the story be as good? Because obviously, The Last of Us 2, if you guys don't know my opinions on The Last of Us 2, I think The Last of Us 2 is a really bad game. So, again, that kind of also shares a little bit of kind of my perspective on that as well. So, The Last of Us, I think, will be a good show. I think it will be even potentially a great show, to be honest. But will it beat The Walking Dead? I'm going to say no for right now, to be honest. I don't think The Last of Us is going to be able to create a episode like who did Negan kill, and the whole world is talking about it, or who did this, or how is this going to go down? Like, Walking Dead had moments where like the entire world was talking about it. Like, you couldn't walk anywhere without somebody like talking to you about it, right? And I don't know if The Last of Us is gonna pull that same kind of thing, because The Walking Dead was the first ever zombie series to ever exist. Keep that in mind as well too. So the first ever zombie show to ever exist, that's gonna be a tough one to beat for sure. And I just don't know if The Last of Us is gonna do that yet. But again, we'll have to see how it goes. Next one comes from Janard, who says, "How are we supposed to take these clickers from The Last of Us? The clickers that we see in the trailers and all that kind of stuff, they're not zombies, so what exactly are they?" Now, obviously clickers, if you've played the game and obviously you've gone through it, they aren't zombies, that's for sure. They're definitely not zombies, but I would say they're like even worse than zombies in terms of what they can do. I mean, we've seen Joel in the games like fight them and stuff. It's definitely not a fun experience for them. They're very much more deadly than zombies, I would argue, at least. I mean, maybe if you're talking about like fast zombies, maybe there's a bit of a question, but man, I gotta tell you, clickers, they're definitely not zombies, but they're they're not in their right mind. Let's put it that way. So I don't want to say too much because obviously I want to keep the show a surprise, and it seems like Janard here might not actually have played the games. So obviously I don't want to spoil it necessarily for him, because he's gonna find out obviously in the show. But those that have played the games know that yeah, clickers are definitely very very scary, and definitely going to be a really cool kind of threat. And I got to tell you one thing right now. One thing that this trailer really nails so far too in this show is the clickers. They are absolutely accurate to the game. It's ridiculous. I mean, from the visual aspect of things all the way down to like the sounds they're making too. I mean, it's the exact same. Whoever did this TV show and whoever is fully like, writing this thing out and doing all this stuff, they definitely played the game like detail by detail all the way through, because I can tell there's a lot of care put into this. The visual aspect of things, very much like the game, the clickers and every little detail about the clickers already just based off of the trailer. I can tell that these people did their homework when it comes to this show, and that is, it's very impressive, it's very noticeable. And I gotta tell you, like I said, this show, I think it's flawless looking, Aside from the actress for Ellie, I'm gonna continue to bring it up because I'm not too sure about her yet, but aside from that, I think this show looks about as perfect as you could get it, right? And I think that's very good so far. That is really, really good. And the last one comes from Rip, who says that The Last of Us is a very exciting show for them because it is also their favorite game of all time and their favorite story told of all time in gaming history. So, absolutely. With The Last of Us and in terms of the story and everything like that, it's just so incredible, right? It's really, really incredible. And I've said this time and time again, but The Last of Us Part 1 is my all-time favorite game ever created. When I tell people that, they're very surprised, but I love it. I love the gameplay. I love the story. I love the characters. The characters are amazing, and I love everything about it. I love the villains, I love the music, I love the vibe, I love the visuals, I love all of that. And so far, at least, it looks like the show is at least going to have most of that, right? Now, one of the biggest things I've also heard people say is like, Dan, do you think that the show will be better than the game? I actually still think that the game will end up being better. I do, at least in terms of the first game. I think the first game will end up being better. Now, how they adapt the second game is where my worries come in, right? Because, as you guys know, I'm not a big fan of the certain thing, I'm not going to spoil it, but the certain thing that happens in part 2 of The Last of Us. So I hope that they find a way to change that, because I would hate for the show to go down that route. But at least in terms of the first game, I think the first game will remain better. Like, I think the game will be better than the show, just because I feel like it just has more to it, but I think the show will be a very close second. That's what I'm thinking. I think the show will be a very close second to the game, and I think that's probably how it's going to go. So anyway, let me know in the comment section below, what are your thoughts and hype and excitement for The Last of Us? If you want me to do another Q&A for The Last of Us, leave some comments down below as we get geared up for next month and get ready for this show. So if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed this video, make sure to click that subscribe button so you don't miss any other videos to The Last of Us. Make sure to follow me on Dan's Reviews Official on Instagram, guys. And of course, I'll see you guys really soon for more videos of The Last of Us. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys, and peace out.